Malian Prime Minister Maiga criticizes lack of transparency in the transitional government.
I found out through the media that the transition has been extended, even though I signed the decree setting its conclusion for 2024. But we are exercising what we call strategic patience.
And ECOWAS mediation fails to resolve deadlock in Liberia's House of Representatives. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. We begin with Senegal because preliminary results from Sunday's legislative elections revealed that the ruling party, PASTEF, is taking a comfortable lead. The election was generally peaceful, with voter turnout slightly exceeding 49%, according to the General Directorate of Elections. Christopher Aticho has the details.
Preliminary results indicate that PASTEF, led by Usman Sonko, has taken the lead in Sunday's legislative election. The ruling party has secured the majority of votes in polling stations both within Senegal and abroad. This reflects the continuous support of the Senegalese people for the leadership of Usman Sonko and Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who assumed power in March. Celebrations broke out in several cities across the country after the announcement of these trends. Shortly after the result were announced, leaders of the opposition coalition Samsa Kadu, including Bogan Giyandani, Anta Babakaningom, and Bartholomew Dias, congratulated PASTEF list on its apparent victory. Similarly, Amadou Ba, leader of the Jam-Ahin-Jaren coalition and former Prime Minister, congratulated PASTEF via his Facebook page, calling the victory a reflection of the people's will. However, hours before polls closed, Taku Walu Senegal coalition, led by former president of Senegal, raised concerns about irregularities in certain areas. In a statement, the coalition announced plans to consult legal advisors to demand court the outright annulment of the vote in Tuba, where clear irregularities compromised the credibility of the election. End of quote. The Ministry of Interior and civil society organizations described the election as largely peaceful, expressing satisfaction with what they call its smooth conduct. The General Directorate of Elections also reported an increase in voter turnout compared to 2022. This year's participation rate stands at 49.72% compared to the 46.64% in the last legislative elections 2 years ago.
Christopher Aticho with the details of Demba Amaan's report. Meanwhile, some young Senegalese voters chose to abstain from Sunday's polls. Others, on the other hand, who voted have high expectations and they hope for a new assembly that will address their struggles such as irregular migration and unemployment. Francis Boniface reports.
The Senegalese youth play a crucial role in the country's legislative elections, as there is widespread anticipation for a new National Assembly that will better address their interests and improve their living conditions. Mamadou Kassé, a young Senegalese voter, emphasizes that the incoming assembly should not be viewed as a boxing ring, but rather as a space for intellectuals to engage in thoughtful debates about the nation's challenges and potential solutions.
The National Assembly is the institution that allows the President of the Republic to roll out his program. It is not a ring where anything goes. We must go beyond that. We need intellectuals in Parliament, MPs to measure the expectations of the population.
One of the primary issues is the deplorable living conditions faced by many young Senegalese. This remains the central focus for improvement, says Ferin Fallou.
We do not need MPs who are only interested in their own interests. What we need are MPs who work for the good of all. Life is expensive. We want MPs who are capable of defending the interests of citizens. May the winners of these elections be at the bedsides of citizens.
However, despite the willingness of the majority of the youth to participate in the electoral process, some chose not to vote on election day. Dominic Jean, a motorcyclist in Wakam, a district of Dakar, explains that the harsh realities of daily life made it impossible for him to engage in the elections.
Normally we were supposed to vote, but with the difficulties of life, we run for daily expenses. Especially when you leave a wife at home, you have to have peace of mind to go and vote.
For many young people like Dominic, survival and basic needs take precedence over electoral participation. As a reminder, the contest for a majority in the National Assembly remains a central focus of the November 17 legislative elections in Senegal, called by the government of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye.
Francis Boniface reporting there. Still on Senegal's November 17 Assembly elections, former Senegalese parliamentarian Oumar Sy has cast doubt on the attainment of Senegal's 2050 National Transformational Agenda if the yet-to-be-constituted 15th National Assembly does not work in unity and in the spirit of national patriotism. The former lawmaker urged the current head of government and leader of the PASTEF party, Ousmane Sonko, to be circumspect on many of his utterances to foster national cohesion. In an interview with Wadr News, Oumar Sy called for collaboration in the next assembly to ensure national growth and development.
As we're looking forward, where they just took the country from Macky Sall, and they have saying a lot of stuff about corruption. They brought the new agenda of Vision 2050, and with this vision, they need to have all the population, especially all the private sector and everybody around them. But if they don't have the majority, I don't think they will be able to implement that vision, because you would maybe have one part of the opposition, like Samba Samakadu said, they will be very extreme with this power, because they will try to show people that these people can get the job done. From my part, like Amadou Ba said, I will be collaborating with the power and will help them implement the good laws that they will bring in the parliament. If on the other side, even if they win the election, they will have to be more cooperative, even with the opposition, to show that the population that we are trying to move forward together with our project, with our vision to build this country together. If they do that and the opposition is not likely to follow, population will say, okay, they're trying their best, though the opposition is not doing their job, they're not helpful. They only have 5 years.
Former Senegalese parliamentarian Oumar Sy.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's remain on the subject of elections, but elsewhere. Ghana's Electoral Commission has ordered the reprinting of ballot papers for the Ahafo and Volta regions. According to the Electoral Commission, the decision follows an internal audit that uncovered irregularities in the serialization process at one of the printing houses. From Accra, Wadr's Nad Didititi reports.
According to a statement from Ghana's Electoral Commission, the issue arose when an automated system meant to sequentially serialize the ballots malfunctioned, leaving gaps in the numbering. The printing house attempted to rectify the problem manually, but the EC deems the manual process unreliable and decided to reprint the affected ballots in the Ahafo and Volta regions. The reprinting will be carried out by Buck Press and Act Commercials. The EC has consequently, under the supervision of agents of the various political parties, the National Intelligence Bureau and the Ghana Police Service, shredded and incinerated the compromised ballots, with the representatives of the political parties signing a destruction certificate. The NDC, which has the Volta region as a stronghold, had said that it brought the issues of the discrepancies to the attention of the Electoral Commission. However, the EC has emphasized that the issue was discovered by its internal team and audit department, not by political party representatives who were present through the printing process. Dr. Bosman Asare is the Deputy Chairman of the Commission in charge of corporate services.
We didn't hear of any complaint formally or informally from the NDC. It was the decision of the EC that after the printing house assured the Electoral Commission that they will be able to provide all the serial numbers appropriately, and our team informed us that still there were gaps. And we took the decision that to ensure ballot integrity, it will be appropriate for us to give it a voter region to us commercials and Ahafo to Book Press, two of our distinguished printers.
The EC has reiterated its commitment to ensuring a high standard of professionalism in the electoral process and urged the public to remain confident in its measures to guarantee the credibility of the December 7 elections. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Now on to issues of governance in the Sahel region. Mali's junta-appointed Prime Minister Choguel Maïga has openly criticized the transitional government led by Army General Assimi Goïta. Addressing a large crowd of supporters during the commemoration of the liberation of Kidal, Maïga accuses the regime of a lack of transparency, particularly concerning the postponement of elections and the indefinite extension of the transitional period. The Prime Minister expressed deep frustration, revealing that he learned about the decisions through the media just like an ordinary citizen rather than through formal government discussions. Here's an excerpt from Prime Minister Maïga's speech.
Vous rappelez ici que nous avons librement fixé au 26 mars 2022.
You recall that we freely set the transition period at 24 months, starting March 26, 2022, through a decree issued on June 6, 2022. Accordingly, the transition is supposed to end on March 26, 2024. However, it has been indefinitely postponed, unilaterally, and without any debate within the government. Can you imagine that? I found out through the media that the transition has been extended, even though I signed the decree setting its conclusion for 2024. But we are exercising what we call strategic patience, because while Malians are fighting on the front lines to liberate our country, we have forbidden ourselves from engaging in political squabbles in Bamako. During the discussions on national rebuilding, we proposed the establishment of a single body to oversee elections. The people came together to define the framework for this body. But do you know that the law approved by the people and forwarded and changed by my office was later altered by the opposition? They struck a deal behind the back of the M5. I endured difficult times within the M5, but I told my comrades, patience, patience, patience. The Malian army is fighting. Let's learn to be patient.
Patience, patience, patience. L'armée malienne est en train de se battre. Apprenons à patienter.
Malian Prime Minister Choguel Maïga. The ECOWAS mediation team sent to Liberia to address the ongoing impasse in the House of Representatives has been unable to break the deadlock. Led by the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Honorable Haja Memunatu Ibrahima, the mission took place from November 11 to 16, 2024 and involved extensive negotiations with key stakeholders, including members of the majority and minority blocs in the House. Despite the concerted efforts of the delegation, no agreement was reached during their time in Monrovia. The storm may persist as the pro-Kofa and anti-Kofa factions remain entrenched in their positions, with neither side willing to compromise to resolve the crisis. Staying on news relating to the legislature, the Gambia National Assembly has begun a 3-day budget oversight training following the tabling of the 2025 budget, estimates by Finance Minister Sidi Keita last week. This training, which began over the weekend, is designed to equip parliamentarians with the necessary tools and knowledge to effectively scrutinize and review the proposed budget before the parliamentary debate set for later this week. Sankule Janko Banjul has more in this report.
The training, organized by the Clerk of the National Assembly and facilitated by financial experts and key stakeholders in the public finance sector, covers a wide range of topics, including analyzing government spending priorities and ensuring transparency and accountability in the allocation of public funds. In his opening remarks, Speaker of the National Assembly Fabakary Tombonjata emphasized the crucial role of parliamentarians in ensuring that the budget reflects the needs and priorities of the Gambian people.
Basis for parliamentary oversight is focused on the financial aspect because as representatives of the people, our first task is to determine to what extent the public contribution is necessary and whether it is being effectively used and in the manner authorized by Parliament.
Outgoing Clerk of the Assembly, Mamadou Sisay, underscored the importance of a thorough and objective review of the budget estimates. He highlighted the need for robust oversight mechanisms to safeguard public resources and promote fiscal responsibility.
The outcome of this training, honorable members, will also enable the effective monitoring of the expenditure of the appropriated funds to the relevant sectors through oversight mechanism during the implementation year under review. I wish to urge all of you to exhibit maximum commitment in the course of this training to ensure that we all live here with clear ideas, better understanding of this important document.
The training also aims to foster a deeper understanding of the link between budget allocations and national development goals. By building members' capacity, the program seeks to equip them with the skills to participate in meaningful debates and make informed decisions during the upcoming budget discussions. For listening on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sankuli Jenk reporting from Banjul.
You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of the top stories. Ruling Pastef leads in Senegal's provisional legislative election results. Meanwhile, some young Senegalese voters abstained from the elections, citing various reasons. Ghana's Electoral Commission orders reprinting of ballot papers for Ahafo and Volta regions following challenges with serial numbers. Malian Prime Minister Maiga criticizes lack of transparency in the transitional government. ECOWAS mediation fails to resolve deadlock in Liberia's House of Representatives. Still ahead, we have the press review, guest interview, and the sports news. Please stay with us.
You are listening to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal.
Thanks for staying with us. As a reminder, we broadcast live on YouTube at WADR News and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Let's now bring you matters of security. The Nigerian Air Force has carried out airstrikes that eliminated key loyalists of notorious bandit leaders Dan Asu and Doko Suli in Zamfara State. Imo Edit has the details.
Air Commodore Lushola Kimboyewa, NAF's Director of Public Relations and Information, confirmed the operation in a statement, revealing that the strikes occurred on Friday, November 15, in Baban Kaya village, Chafer local government area. The targeted bandits were reportedly planning attacks on both military personnel and civilians along the Tafe axis, a hotspot for banditry in northwestern Nigeria. The region has long struggled with violent assaults orchestrated by factions loyal to Dan Yusufu and Dogo Sule, who have been linked to attacks on local communities, security forces, and critical infrastructure. Akimboyewa described the operation as a proactive measure to disrupt the bandits' activities, emphasizing that remote settlements like Babankoye often serve as strategic safe havens for such groups. The Nigerian Air Force continues to intensify its air interdiction campaigns under Operation Fansayama, aiming to restore peace and security to Zamfara and other affected regions.
Imo Edit with that report.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's remain in Nigeria and John Usma Umrah for the press review.
We begin the day with Daily Independent newspaper, and the paper is leading with the 2025 budget, which is already under preparation and being readied for submission to the National Assembly. It says 2025 budget. Borrowing $2.2 billion will worsen Nigeria's debt burden. This is according to experts, with one rider say borrowing will be stumbling block to economic recovery. Of course, the 2025 budget about 47.9 billion naira and has a borrowing component of about 13.7, which is equivalent to $2.2 billion. According to experts, will be a stumbling block to efforts being made at economic recovery. Another story of interest: court orders Nigeria Broadcasting Commission to stop threats, fine imposition on broadcast stations. Of course, the broadcast regulatory body in Nigeria has lately been found to be threatening and imposing fines on alleged offenses on broadcast stations, saying this can threaten freedom of speech. And the court had ruled in favor of Bond. We'll now quickly take leave of the Daily Independent to go to Daily Trust newspaper, which is leading with this story. Presidency mom as as Obasanjo, International Monetary Fund slammed Tinubu's reforms. Nigeria under state capture. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is saying initiatives confronted by adjustment fatigue. That is the International Monetary Fund commenting there on Nigeria's economy. And it's on this note that we draw the curtains on this day's edition of the Press Review, and it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Usma Umar, for the Press Review.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
This segment of Newslink is all about Senegal's legislative elections, where an estimated 7 million registered voters went to the polls on Sunday, November 17, to elect 165 members of the upcoming National Assembly. The election was generally peaceful, with voter turnout slightly exceeding 49%, according to the General Directorate of Election. However, preliminary results from Sunday's polls revealed that the ruling party, PASTEF, is taking a comfortable lead. Professor Golgi Dieng is a Senegalese political analyst who provides analysis about the voting process, including the turnout, the fight for majority in parliament, among other critical issues.
I think all observers, national and international observers, will come to the conclusion that the election went quite well. The administration did what they had got to do. The voters did what they had got to do. And everything went out really smoothly. And no violence. The results are coming out. And I believe that this is one of the most peaceful elections in the world. And we are under the impression that the winner is already known.
There was a 3% increase in the turnout for the November 17 parliamentary election compared to the 2022 legislative elections. What does that mean in terms of voter turnout?
Well, this is quite important because what has been done so far by the new government is not really very much brilliant. Many people believe that people who are not going to go out and vote, not many, but I am a believer that the voters who voted in the president in March are still willing to show the determination to give to the president and his government much leeway to do what they want to do. I think this is one of the reasons why you have this increase in the turnout.
Now that the ruling party PASTEF is in the lead, which by statistics will mean that Ousmane Sonko could be considered a parliamentarian, is there constitutional provision within the Senegalese constitution that allows an official to double as a member of the executive and a member of the legislature?
Well, I think this is quite possible for an MP to be a minister. But an MP and at the same time a prime minister, this is not really something that can be accepted officially, because the role of the prime minister doesn't allow him or her to play his or her role as MP. And they themselves, that is to say PASTEF, they have decided that from now on there will be no accumulation of functions. That is to say, you can't be mayor and at the same time minister, let alone be a minister and an MP. So no doubt about this. The prime minister has been or will be elected as MP. He will be an MP officially. But I believe that we will have got to choose between going to parliament and keeping his position as prime minister.
It is highly likely that there is going to be a majority PASTEF parliament. What would that mean for the government of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye? Will the majority promote and implement its 2050 agenda, or just about having dominance in the National Assembly?
Well, I think that the reason why the new government decided to organize this election is that they wanted to have more leeway to do what they want to do. because they believe that they can't implement their plan without having a majority, that is to say, without having enough support by the MPs. So they have it now. That is no doubt about this. So they will have the opportunity to do what they want to do. They will have the opportunity to pass the laws they want to pass.
Professor Golgi Jeng is a Senegalese political analyst. Here is Sankule Janko with sports.
Hello, a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The final round of Group E matches in the CAF Africa Cup of Nations 2025 qualifiers brought a contrasting fortunes as Algeria dismantled Liberia 5-1 to end their campaign unbeaten, while Togo claimed a moral-boosting 3-0 win over Equatorial Guinea in Lomé on Sunday. Early assault of first place in Group E, Algeria showed no signs of complacency at the Hossein Aid Ahmed Stadium. The Phoenix, unbeaten in their last 19 AFCON qualifiers, extended their streak to a commanding display that further underscored their dominance. Liberia stunned the home crowd early with a 6-minute goal from Samson Dwe, but Algeria responded swiftly. Aissa Mahdi equalized in the 20th minute before Riyad Mahrez gave the host the lead with a deft header in the 29th minute. The second half belonged entirely to Algeria as Baghdad Bonaja, Amin Gouri and Mohamed Amouri all found the net to complete the rout. According to CAF official website, Algeria finished the group with 16 points, scoring 16 goals and conceding just 2. In Lomé, Togo ended their qualifying campaign with a resounding 3-0 victory over second-place Equatorial Guinea. Despite being eliminated from the tournament, the Sparrows showed resilience, snapping a 3-game losing streak in AFCON qualifiers. Yohana opened the scoring in the 14th minute while Kevin Danke doubled the lead early in the second half with a stunning long-range strike. Arno Cup of a brilliant individual performance with his second goal in the 87th minute. For Equatorial Guinea, the defeat had no bearing on their qualification for AFCON 2025 as they had already secured their spot. However, the loss ended their 10-game unbeaten run in qualifiers, exposing vulnerabilities that may require attention ahead of the tournament in Morocco in 2025. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
We've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Christian Mukidi and Maudo Ju for the technical support. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service. I am Augustine Kali. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.